Imagine a perfect world where you can build a restaurant, open the doors, and make loads of money. Unfortunately, those days are over. It takes great leadership, hard work, and long hours to operate a successful restaurant. Together, we can make it happen. This is Restauranttopia.
Welcome back to Restauranttopia. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I got Dave Ross with me, and we're really excited about today's episode because we're going to talk about what happens when one of your employees gets hit with the COVID-19, and how do you respond? What do you do at your restaurant? And what are the steps you need to take to protect your staff and to protect your customers moving forward?
Yeah, this is, I think this is super. We wanted to get this episode out. It's really critical, I think, to make sure that people understand exactly what they need to do. And like we talked about in the last episode, you've got to prepare for this because more than likely this is going to happen, considering everything going on with the cases and things like that. And we've had, at Hillcrest, we've had several customers that have had a test positive for COVID, and they're going through this. So we want to make sure everybody's prepared. This shouldn't be a negative thing to think about. This shouldn't be like, if I don't think about it, it won't happen. Like this is something, there's a reality to this that we got to prepare for. And so we wanted to make sure we got this out to you.
This is going to happen more likely than not. I can give you 3 examples of owner operators that are friends of mine that have had this happen. I had one friend has a bar. One of his main servers got diagnosed. I had another friend who has a small fast casual concept, and his entire kitchen got it. So he had 3 people in his kitchen get it, and he had to close down. It's definitely probably going to happen to your operation until there's a vaccine. So what are the steps that you can put in place now? So when this happens to you, you can just open up the playbook and execute this play. So let's get right into it.
And I just want to also say, again, on this topic, this shouldn't be considered like a death blow. This should be like the information we're going to give you is to prepare you so that if and when this does happen, you know exactly how to respond, know exactly how to recover and get back on track, and you can definitely do it. So this is all good juju. So.
And it's practical advice, I hope, that you're able to implement. We're taking it right from the Ohio Department of Health and the CDC. Don't think of this as, this is what the public relation person would tell me to do, and we're going to spin this so it looks most favorable on us, that the new normal, this is a possibility that's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, great.
All right, let's get started. I really want to split this up into 2 categories of individuals. The first individual is someone who has been exposed to someone with COVID-19 or suspected to have COVID-19. And then the second group is individuals who are sick, experiencing symptoms themselves, or have tested positive for COVID-19. So let's go into that first group. This is an employee who has been exposed to someone who has COVID-19.
Now, what do? They, their family member has it. They know someone who they spent some time with who has it. What are the steps moving forward? And all the people say that basically tell that person to self-quarantine. Don't let them come into work for 14 days, and let you know if they've been in contact with any of your other employees.
Yeah, and I think it's good, to actually be preemptive in this and have a team meeting or a meeting with the people to make sure and encourage them that they are being upfront with this stuff. Like, this is not something that employees should be hiding. Because they're risking your business and risking other employees, and the government has also set it up to where, and we'll talk about this, that they're going to get paid for this time off. So we need to, your employees have to feel comfortable coming to you and saying, listen, my brother got diagnosed and I was with them over the weekend, or whatever it is. Like you've got to set that up from the beginning to make sure there's a real free flow of information with the employees and that everybody's comfortable.
You're absolutely right, Dave. I think that goes in conjunction with all the prep work before you have that meeting too. Are you making employees wear masks? Are you instituting cleaning policies that encourage cleanliness, hand washing? What's your glove policy? All the things that you need to do. In addition to this, if this happens, because it will happen, having that open dialogue with your staff, I think, is so important.
Sure. No, absolutely. So somebody's exposed, they come to you, they're to self-quarantine for 14
Absolutely.
days, right, Brian?
Self-quarantine for 14 days. This is disruptive because now you're having staffing issues, especially if it's a smaller operation and you have a friend of mine, he has 6 employees at this location and 4 of them got it. Well, he's going to be closed for a while because he's going to have to staff up and there's no one to train. So think of your entire staff, basically walking out on you because of illness. That's going to be difficult for you to operate.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So I think we're going to see more and more of that situation. The other situation is I'm not feeling well. I'm self-quarantining as of today. I'm going to the doctor and I do get the test and I test positive. What does that look like? We ask them to self-report that they talk to their local health department, and then they'll start doing the contact tracing. So they'll go back to see who that person has been in contact with. It's also good. You don't want to release the person's name, but you want to ask that employee who is tested positive, who at work have you had contact with, and let those people know. You don't have to say, hey, Brian had the COVID and you had a meeting with him yesterday, but you can say, hey, there's a potential that you're exposed to someone that is tested positive for COVID, and you can work in conjunction with the health department and they will help you do that contact tracing.
Yeah, right. But again, like you said, like I think it's required to contact the health department, right? Because they have to do their investigation, but then you want to do your own as well. And then you just, basically.
You want to do your own investigation. You're actually not required, to my understanding, to contact the health department. The hospital or health system that administers the test, they will contact the health department.
Gotcha. Okay. But in regards to your business, you want to make sure that, you've gone down that rabbit hole a little bit, you know what I mean? And again, that you don't want to expose or give away any medical information, anybody's personal medical information, but you need to, probably understand how it affects your operation.
Correct. Like I've seen everything thus far as a letter put out by an employer and said, hey, these 2 people have COVID, if you're in contact. Like I wouldn't do that, but I would definitely go to employees that there is contact tracing and say that you've been exposed, give them time off, encourage them to go get testing. You can't force anyone to get testing, but you can encourage it. And I would highly recommend to do that. Let's talk about leave benefits. You have 3 employees who have been exposed or have tested positive. Either or, it doesn't matter in this scenario. Under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, you are required to give them medical paid leave. So I'm going to put some links in the show notes, but I encourage you to talk to your lawyer, talk to your accountant as to how much that is, because there are some calculations as to what the wage would be when they're gone, especially when we're talking about servers or we're talking about people that maybe are not on salary. You have someone who works part-time, the calculation's a little bit more difficult, but your accountant, your bookkeeper, and your attorney will easily be able to help you with that and get that number correct. But you are required to pay. And I think that's good. And there's going to be some tax benefits on the back end of that. But I think that's good because that's going to encourage the single income family to stay home versus I have to go to work sick. We've all done that. We go to work sick, but in pandemic world, you go to work sick, you can infect, hundreds, thousands, if not thousands of people.
Yeah. And I think, and I don't want to skim over too much, like talk to your accountant, but there's definitely enough tax benefit that you should be handling this and making sure that your employees, keep their income during this time and that they get healthy and get back to work.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. Under FMLA and some other laws, which I encourage you to talk to your attorney about, there are required paid leave if a family member has it or some other scenarios. So I'm talking kind of broad here and I'm not trying to give any legal advice out, but there are scenarios where you may be required to pay. And I encourage you to look into that if an employee asks for time off, even tangentially related to COVID-19.
Yeah. And if you're sitting in your car right now driving and you're a GM or an owner of a restaurant and you haven't had these conversations already, like use this as an inspiration to have these conversations. Even if you got to pause this right now, pick up the phone, call your lawyer, start the conversations on this, because you don't want this to be something that when it happens, then you're trying to figure it out. Get all your ducks in a row and make this something that, when and if it does happen, it's a very smooth thing and you've rehearsed it and been through it.
Your point, David, earlier was spot on too. You should be meeting with all your GMs and your staff and let them know and be thinking about this and be very top of mind. But if you need a recommendation for a lawyer or an accountant, reach out to us. Hit Dave up or me or Anthony. We've been in the industry long enough to know that there's a lot of good providers out there that can help you and deal with small businesses like yours, restaurant operators. This is, like I always say, you guys are the ultimate entrepreneur. You got to have a good team around you of support people who can help you, wade through these waters, because I've already seen lawsuits come out because of wage and hour stuff. I've already seen lawsuits come out because of COVID-19. So it's something that you want to be aware of, and I don't want to see anyone get hurt because, they made a technical error, they did something minor. All right, so let's talk about cleaning. You've had the employee notify you they're at home getting better. They've been in your restaurant an extensive period of time. What do? Well, you got to clean it. So I think you're seeing in the news and you're seeing across the industry, people are shutting their restaurants down and they're having it cleaned. There's a lot of professional companies out there that do that. I encourage you to research that and find one that does COVID-19 cleaning. What do you look for in a cleaning company? I'm not going to give you any recommendations here today. If you want to email me, I can probably send you some out in your area. But, do they have prior experience cleaning, COVID? This is new. This is definitely something different. This isn't just your normal run-of-the-mill cleaning company. So you want to make sure that they're used to cleaning up biohazards and viruses and those sorts of things. What type of training do their employees have, and are they certified? These are good questions to ask. I'll put these questions in the show notes, but any good reputable cleaning company should be able to spout out the answers to these types of questions right away. Is the business insured? If they fail to clean it properly or something like that, you want to make sure that they're insured, and if there's any issues with their employees damaging surfaces with cleaning products or theft or anything like that, you want to make sure that they're insured. And again, any of these companies, you ask them for their certificate of insurance, they should be happy to show you.
On that, but Brian, not to interrupt, but
Yeah, go ahead.
there's got to be I'm assuming that when these companies are coming in and cleaning, there's got to be some sort of clearance of some sort or whatever document you'd call that. But this is so fluid. Once people come back into the restaurant to work, when's the liability stop for the cleaning company? So I'm imagining I'm sure you could sue for anything, or you could,
Yeah. And it's probably unlikely, and I haven't seen it yet, that they're going to get sued for improper cleaning. It's more likely that they use a chemical on the tables, and now all of a sudden all your tables have like a weird mark on them, or
Gotcha.
they ruin your granite, or
some sort of damage, or okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or,
Okay.
all your stainless steel now is purple. It's just
Right.
Those sorts of things or they steal something. Those are the sorts of things that I think are higher on your risk level. Another great question is, what sort of PPE will the employees be wearing? Pretty good sign that if they don't have any PPE on, that they're just cleaning with glorified water. So, what chemicals are they using is really important to me. Make sure that the chemicals are significant strength and are registered with the FDA, and that they're the appropriate chemicals to be used to be cleaning up these biohazards. Just recently, I read an article on hand sanitizers. There's actually 25 hand sanitizers on the FDA's list that are toxic chemicals.
Seriously?
Yeah, 25.
25? Holy
Yeah.
moly.
Well, have you noticed there's all these off brands at the grocery store? You're like, I've never heard of, Mr. Clean's hand sanitizer. It's like,
You're like, is that tequila or is that hand sanitizer?
And the final question I think I would ask is, what cleaning techniques are they using? In addition to the chemicals, and make sure they're using safe chemicals, are they using foggers? Are they using UV lights? Are they wiping down the surfaces after they've been fogged? These are all steps I think that are really good and go above and beyond just a surface cleaning. So ask these questions. You'll know when you hear someone this is their business, this is their sport, and this is what they do well.
Well, and again, I think another important question is, do they have experience cleaning restaurants even?
Correct.
There's plenty of companies out there that, because of everything going on, just because they do some sort of cleaning, now they're a COVID cleaning company, but, let's make sure, what is their experience in restaurants around food and food equipment and things like that. And I would say, again, just like the other points in this episode, do these interviews now. Don't wait till it happens. Get some references if they've already done maybe some restaurants in the area or whatever, and make some phone calls. Do the due diligence now before you have an issue, so that, again, when something like this happens, you're ready and you flow through it like you've already been through dress rehearsal.
You're right, because depending on how this kicks up, your ability to get someone there in 24 hours or 48 hours is a heck of a lot different than being like, I can see you next month. Well, that's not going to work for your restaurant. So, how can you build a relationship, get the references now to make sure that they're doing it correctly,
that's another great question is, in the process of interviewing them is how quickly could you be here? If I had an issue today, how quickly could you be? How many crews do you have? How many, that's another great question to ask.
I love that question. My friend who had the kitchen staff with COVID, he was able to get someone there, I think, in 48 hours. But
Wow.
still, I mean, he was closed. He was closed that entire time, and it easily could have been a week. So it's difficult out there, and you want to call and you want to do this homework now because it is going to happen.
Yeah, and then there's a ton of, we're going to have this is going to be probably an overload of resources in the show notes, but go through this stuff, take a look at it. I mean, there's some great things from the Ohio Department of Health and also the CDC that we're going to put in there, PDFs, and it is great information. And there's even, I think the CDC actually even has a checklist. So if you had something happen and you want to reopen, they've got a checklist of all the things you should be looking at, great resources.
And I think it's a great tool to give to your general manager and be like, implement this, make sure this is all checked off, because let's not kid ourselves. This is their first pandemic too. Like they're new to this. They could be a GM for 20 years, but they've never had to, close a restaurant for a pathogen.
Well, and there's a reason why you have fire drills. I mean, think about it. Like, let's do this now. You know what I mean? Like, let's not wait and then we're all panicked on what we're doing. Like, everybody should, when and if this happens to your restaurant, everybody should have a good understanding of what needs to happen so you can get through it easily.
I love that. That's podcast gold there, Dave. I appreciate it.
You got it.
Okay. I think things are fluid right now, but the information, as Dave said, from the CDC and the Ohio Department of Health are so helpful.
Yeah, for sure. And if there's anything, as you guys are listening to this, if there's any further questions or anything we help out, we'd love to make some recommendations to you, just, more in person based on your geographics and your situation. But we have plenty of other resources and people that can help out, whether it's on the accounting side, the law side, the cleaning side. We can give some recommendations. So we've done some good research here and have a bank of resources for you guys. So please reach out. Don't hesitate. Let's get you prepared, for when and if this were to happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dave, for joining me today. If you have any questions, reach out to us, and we look forward to talking to everyone next week.
This is a high quality pod. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Adios.
Thank you for listening to Restaurantopia. The gratitude that we have for each and every one of you spending your precious time to listen to this podcast is immeasurable. Please make sure to tell a friend about this podcast. And also, if you have any feedback for us, visit us on restaurantopia.com and drop us a line. You can also subscribe on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Thank you and have a great day.
Who's this Anthony guy you speak of?
Oh my God! You're gonna get the hate mail. You're gonna get the hate mail.
I'm getting it this week. I'm getting it. Okay,
I know.
That's all right. You email it over. I'll take it.
Yeah, that's.
I'll take it. What goes around comes around, right?
Yeah, you missed one episode, and I got 75 emails.